fracking now! Ban 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 fracking now!
Thank you for joining us today. My name is Brenna Norton and I'm the local Los Angeles organizer for Food and Water Watch. Thank you to Citizens Coalition for a Safe Community, Baldwin Hills Oil Watch, Frack Free Culver City, Credo Action, and other statewide and national organizations for organizing this educational event and protest today. Today is an historic day, and I'm thrilled to be standing with all of you. Today, thousands of citizens are gathering at 150 events worldwide. And 150 consumer, environmental, and public health organizations are standing united together as a global movement with a unified message. Our movement is growing, our movement is strong, and we do not accept fracking and its impacts on our water, our air, our health, our property, or our climate. We are calling on governmental officials at all levels to ban fracking now and pursue the development of a renewable, clean energy economy. The new generation of fracking that has come to California today, it drills deeper and longer. It requires enormous amounts of water and toxic chemicals and known carcinogenic chemicals. It creates much more toxic waste and disposal problems, and it is largely an uncontrolled public health experiment. Fracking throughout the country has caused air contamination, water contamination, and is ultimately contributing to global climate change. Hello, Culver City! Hello, neighbors from around the oil field and across this region. You know, when people move to Culver City, they come here for the quality of life. The nice neighborhoods, the tree-lined streets, the schools, the parks, the services, the safety that we provide to our community. What they don't realize is that Culver City lives in the shadow of the largest urban oil field in the United States. And that on this largest urban oil field in the United States, fracking is happening. Studies from the EPA, the U.S. Geological Survey, and many other agencies have shown that the process of fracking, the entire process, has been linked to air pollution, water contamination, and earthquakes. And we all know that in the LA Basin, for years, we've been fighting for clean air, clean water, solving the problem of our droughts, and of course, earthquakes. Now, I know this is a group that has a lot of knowledge and a lot of passion, but I'm not sure that everybody knows that on the largest urban oil field in the United States is on an active 7.4 fault line. Now, let that sink in for a minute. Think about how many people live in this area and what damage just a normal earthquake can do. It's not surprising that we're here today. It's not surprising that we're asking for protection for the air we breathe, the water we drink, and the very ground we stand on. What is surprising is the fact that the state of California does not specifically regulate hydraulic fracturing. Are we protected?
No.
Should we be protected?
Yes.
What's worth more? Our lives, our homes, our businesses, our future, or the oil that's in the ground?
What you are looking at is, and I don't want to repeat what has already been said, but essentially what you are looking at is continuing to exploit underneath the surface a finite resource. Now, what does that mean? It means it will go away. And the consequences of continuing to exploit finite resources is insane. It is insane. Tom Friedman, I'm sure many of you have read The World is Flat, hot, and crowded, said you can either have a future that is dedicated to fuels from heaven or fuels from hell. And the fuels from hell all have one thing in common. They're underneath the surface, they are finite, and they all emit greenhouse gases as a consequence of their burning. Fuels from heaven are renewable resources. Solar, wind, they don't emit anything. And they're infinite. That's the future. That's the future. That's the future we must demand for our children.
I'm here to tell you what you already know. It's a war. It is a war declared by the oil and gas industry on all of us and common sense. It is a war on cities and towns all across the globe who today are standing together in actions like this to say, enough is enough, frack off.
Frack off!
And public health and safety come before corporate profits and business plans. Contrary to Energy in Depth's assertions, we know hydraulic fracturing and extraction processes associated with it have contaminated groundwater and drinking water aquifers. We know toxic air emissions and greenhouse gases increase with its use. We have seen structural damage to homes adjacent to the oil field that may have a historical link to uplift and subsidence attributed to operations in the past. We know hydraulic fracturing is a seismic event capable of inducing and increasing seismic activity. We know that PXP planned to drill 100 new wells in Culver City within 16 years and a total of 500 for the entire field by 2028. Wells to be drilled under Culver City residents include having to drill under the watershed of the Bayona Creek and would be horizontal and possibly hydraulically fractured. The geology under the Inglewood and oil field and Culver City is heavily and complexly faulted. It's not just the Inglewood fault. There are 3 major faults in Culver City and a multitude of faults under the Inglewood oil field. I ask you, where is the common sense?
It's been fracked!
Yeah, it's been spun. Daily, more and more scientific evidence emerges, as well as clear-thinking legislators coming to the conclusion that hydraulic fracturing is not safe. The onus has to be on the industry to prove otherwise. The precautionary principle, simply put, of do no harm has to be applied to this industrial process before our families, our cities, and our state's resources are put at risk. No one should be willing to accept.
I'm a resident of View Park. I live just a couple of blocks away from the Inglewood oil field. It's very scary. And I just wanted to say that it's affecting us. Sorry, it's affecting us in the worst of ways. It's affecting our water. It's affecting our water, it's affecting our air, it's affecting our property and property values. We gotta stop, and we have to, as citizens, as American citizens, stand up and use our voice and use our vote. Ban fracking now!
Ban fracking now! Ban fracking now! Ban fracking now! Ban fracking now!
Ban it now, baby! Ban it now!
Safe fracking is a fairy tale, yes, and a tall tale as well.
Wells have got to go, hey, hey, ho, ho. Fracking wells have got to go, hey, hey, ho, ho. Fracking wells have got to go, hey, hey, ho, ho.
We have to save our land, air, and water, especially our water, for future generations and for ourselves. We are made up of mostly water. It's so important. If you had the choice between gasoline or a car and water, I would choose water, because without water we can't live.
This is what we do it for.